Right, I've got this Philips radio receiver chassis to work on. It's been sent to me. I can't remember where it's come from, but it's been sent to me. And I don't believe it's been switched on for donkey's years. And I've been asked if I'll check it over. Typical textbook thing of checking components and replacing and upgrading, etc, etc. So this is my project right now. It's not a bad chassis actually. They're not a bad sounding set. Here we've got output transformer here, mains transformer here, and I've got various capacitors here. Now, in case anybody's wondering why that's black, etc., everything's black, mains transformer's black. Well, that's because back in the day they used to. I once spoke to an old engineer, and he called it tropicalising, because he said they used to do it if they knew that they were going to send their items to markets where to countries abroad, countries where they knew that it was very humid, maybe Asia or Africa or places like that, because the windings, especially windings on wound components, the insulation that was used wasn't really that good when it came to being damp or moist, and it would soon break down apparently. And so somebody had the idea of literally, if it looks as though it's covered in tar, it is. They literally dip them in tar or bitumen, hot bitumen, to seal them in and keep any moisture out. So, of course, these days with modern materials, insulation, etc., they don't really get as affected by things. But of course, this was back in the day. They had to do something to get over these slight problems. If I just jack that up on a block, if it'll stay. Yeah, that's it. You can see inside there. And what is it? This is AM. You can see short wave, medium wave, long wave, intermediate frequency 470 kilohertz. You could have an extension speaker. Cabinet dimensions, height 13.5 inches, so quite a tallish cabinet. Well, you can see that, whether you get an idea of that when you see the height of the chassis. Width 20 inches wide, so not far off, as nearly as wide as a kitchen worktop, so fair size actually. Probably had quite a big speaker in it. I mean, I've not been sent the speaker, I've just been sent the chassis, so I don't need a speaker, I've got my own. So that's my job in hand on this one. Point out, main switch. I don't like these. That's your main switch. I don't know if you can see the contacts in there, but I don't like these. I've just got this thing against them. I don't know why. So that's the actual main switch on front, and that's like superimposed on top of the potentiometer for the volume control. And I guess that's an early type of arc suppression sort of thing to protect the contacts a little bit. So it all looks good. So it's just coming here for Typical, I'll have check out resistors and check and replace if necessary. Alt capacitors, they get upgraded. Check these capacitors. I've got a paper waxy somewhere. Oh, I've got one here. I've got a paper waxy there. Probably can't see it, but that's most certainly gonna have to get swapped. Yeah, you can just about see it here. There, look. Where my pointer's pointing. That's got to go. Probably these have got to go as well, these black ones, but I shall see. I also point out for the video that this bit of drive cord is snapped. I don't know if you can see, it's loose on here. There's a loop and it's snapped back here. Look, that's snapped. That should go in that should go back there. And of course that spring should pull right out and it should like loop round here and join on that. But I've got some spare cord. I mean, I might end up redoing that. It's usually it's usually fool's gold trying to glue them back together. So that's that. Typical array of valves on top. IF cans. 2-in-1 transformer in one can, which will get swapped. I won't take it out. What I'll do, I'll clip the terminals and just solder in a couple of brand new ones underneath. Mains transformer, you can see where, yeah, you get a nice close up of that. You can see where they get hot when they're on. And especially with it being covered in bitumen, it shows up any where it might have been getting too warm or moving. So that's that. The voltage selector, which I want on 240, 250. Oh, it's got one of them Magic Eye tuning, green tuning valves, which goes in here. I'm not putting it in because they cost a fortune, new old stock, brand new. Well, they're not brand new, but they're old stock, but they're about 100 quid. So I'm leaving that out till last. I don't want any mishaps, do I? So that'll stay out. That's probably for speaker, probably. I might be wrong, I've not even looked into it. I can't work out whether that's original or not, or new. 1000 volts DC, 300 AC, 0.1 microfarads, only 85 degrees. I don't know if there's any date indication on that at all. I don't know where that refers to, 1949. No idea. But anyway, it'll get checked. So as this has not been switched on for a long time, apparently it's not been switched on for a long time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on my little stand here and try not to upset it, try not to move it. If I put that over there, I'm going to put this on my variac. I'm going to put this on my variac like there. That's the wire coming in here. I'm going to switch it on because I don't even want to touch it just yet. So that's on, you hear it click. That's the rectifier valve. If I remove that for a start, my sole intention of that is just to switch it on, wind it up. It's still a safety lamp as well, so essentially it's just testing the main transformer for a start. It's just testing that for a start. Now I don't see nothing going up in smoke or blowing up. This is wound up to the top. I'm going to leave it a couple of minutes, and what I'm going to do is get me thingy thing, thermal imager out, and just fire it at that transformer just to see if anything's getting warm. Because obviously I've took the rectifier valve out, or maybe it's not obvious, but without the rectifier valve in, these other valve heaters would still be working, but there'd be no B plus, because there's nothing to, there's no diodes there to give me a rectified DC voltage. So in other words, it literally isolates it. So that in theory there would only be the valve heaters, if they are working, there'd only be the valve heaters and the mains transformer working. So I'm going to leave that a few minutes. I'm going to get me imager out and have a look. Now I've just noticed something very interesting, and I've just literally said that I'll try and get rid of them stritations. I do apologise anybody's epileptic. I tell you, I'll turn that light off. Right, that's me that's my mains coming in from me variac, right? That's 241. That switch should be on, and it's not even passing anything. So in all probability the switch contacts are burnt. So straight off it's not doing me very well before I've even started hardly. So I'll keep that rectifier valve out, just keep it out. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to bypass it. I'm going to solder that wire to there and that wire to there, just to patch it in, just to bypass that switch, just so I can see if I am getting anything. Right, now I've bypassed that switch, and if I switch on that, if I wind it up, I'm only touching it with one hand. I know it's not it's got no rectifier valve in, but force of habit, you only touch with one hand. So I will be looking for something there and something there. 99 volts. Right, that's it. Now I've not got my variac wound up fully. I haven't. Look at that, lights are coming on. That's not a bad sign, is it? Oh, yep. Valve heaters are coming on. Okay, I'll take that off there. You can see a couple of valve heaters coming on. Scale lamps are coming on. But my safety lamp's coming on slightly. So that really is one to watch out for. Right. Right, now set this going again. I think the input voltage was only set for 220. I've now moved it to 245, and if I put my thermal imager on that transformer looks to be getting rather warm. And maybe I don't like the look of that already. So I'm going to remove all the valves and I'm going to switch it on again. Right, now I've removed all the valves, switched it back on again. Lamps just lighting a little bit. Let's just check this. I'm at 69, 70 degrees. I don't like the look of that, how quick it's going up. Can you see that? We're on 73, 70, oh, 74, 75, 76. I'm going to turn it off. And it actually feels kind of warm to the touch already. Of course, that's without no rectifier valve in. So there's no B plus potential. So it'll probably get very hot then. So I think for now, I mean that could be leaky. So I'm just going to indiscriminately clip it. Right, that's for a start. Switch back on again. And it still glows slightly. So look at that side. Hang on, right. Look at that side. 68, 68.7, 69, 70. That side again, 74. So this could be bad news at the first fence. Yeah, I can feel this. It's not switched on, but just for the few minutes it's been on, you saw temperature raise up, and it does feel warm, which ordinarily I'm not sure it shouldn't really do that. So I'm going to follow some of these wires through here and have a look if there's any capacitors underneath across it, which could be leaky, possibly. Now if you look on the actual schematic diagram, if you imagine there's no valves in, so there's nothing dragging, no heat current or anything. And also I've removed that rectifier. So unless capacitor 6 is leaky, which it's possible, or that valve's not in, so that won't affect it. So just capacitor 6. So I've got to look for capacitor 6, see whether that's leaky, that's dragging anything down, possibly. Now I was just presuming that capacitor 6 would be on the underside. It's that big one on top. So I'll just check that. I'm going to clip that one just for sake. Well, I'm going to clip it, because if it's clipped, it's not in circuit, it can't cause a nuisance, can it? Right, so that's capacitor 6. I've clipped that. That's from the transformer. So I'm going to power it. I'm going to switch it on again, see what happens. And it's still glowing. I've still got that one starting to climb, even though there's no valves in. 45. 40.5. You can see the hot spot. So what I'll do, I'll leave this little introduction video now. So what I'm going to do, I'll proceed and check all the resistors and capacitors and what have you. But when it comes to powering it up, I'm going to power it up with my power supplies for a start, because there's half a chance I'll have to shove another mains transformer on, which I've got some spare. So that's what I'm going to do for now. So I'm going to carry on with that. So I'll see you next part.